This is Ashley Stevens with UNCF. We're here with Dr. Leslie N. Pollard, president of Oakwood University. How are you, Dr. Pollard?
Hi, Ashley. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm glad to be here and glad to have you here.
Thank you very much.
Because this means that Oakwood University is one of the 30 recipients of the UNCF Career Pathways Initiative Planning Grant. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
Tell me, what are some of the plans that Oakwood has for the planning grant and beyond for this initiative?
Okay, so the first thing we want to do with the planning grant is to actually reorganize the way we deliver services to students. So if you think about it, CPI, Career Pathways Grant, we call it CPI, it actually calls upon us to draw a circle, put the student at the center, and to figure out how all of our services actually equip and empower the student to step out of their graduation gown onto the pathway of service, onto the pathway of employment, to the workplace, wherever they want to go. So it's a wonderful opportunity, and we see this giving us the ability to actually coordinate all of those services, some of whom are disparate from each other, separate from each other, but to coordinate them, so to create out of the cacophony a symphony.
Oh, I like
That's
that.
what we see. That's what we see. Yeah.
Well, can you tell me a little bit about some of the existing initiatives you have in place and how CPI will enhance those? Because I know that Oakwood has, provides internship opportunities through partnerships with the local mayor's office, for example.
Absolutely.
You have a lot of businesses that are already supportive of your students.
You've done your homework.
Yes, placing them on internships.
Yes. Okay, so we plan to maximize the internship possibilities. We have a number of internships with companies like SAIC. These are global conglomerates, but based in Huntsville, Alabama, with offices there. We have connections to the Redstone Arsenal. We want to amplify those and to create greater opportunities for students. We want to make sure that we are looking at some of the contractors that we work with. Huntsville is kind of a space techie city. It's a somewhat, my friends get angry when I say this, but it's somewhat of an anomaly for the South. It's kind of a high-tech oasis. And in the state of Alabama, they call it the Silicon Valley of the South. So we have a lot of that. We have internships with engineering companies. Just as an FYI, there are more engineers per capita in the city of Huntsville than in any other city in the United States. Wow. So that gives you some sense of what we do there. And so we have a number of different kind of career opportunities that we're already working. And what this Career Pathways Grant does, thanks to the Lilly Foundation, it gives us the opportunity to make sure that we are able to now to target, specify, and improve the kinds of skills that employers actually are looking for. Sometimes, Ashley, we're institutionally centered. But what this grant does is it causes us to back up and say, maybe we need to be more workplace sensitive. What is it that they are looking for, and how can we supply that?
Gotcha. Wonderful.
Does that make sense?
It absolutely makes sense.
Okay.
And I think it's great that you're going to build upon what's already in place.
Yes, we are.
And so I'm curious to know, what obstacles do you think are currently in the way, so to speak, for HBCU students in particular in landing meaningful employment after graduation?
Okay, so I think for our HBCU students, sometimes there's a stigma that you went to an HBCU and this wasn't a branded state school or whatever. But of course, we have enough success to say that that kind of stigmatization is nothing other than stereotyping. And it's negative stereotyping, because we have all of these professionals. We've got 3% of the institutions of higher education, 21% of all bachelor's degrees to African Americans, and I can just scroll down all of these talking point statistics. But what we do know is that for some of the obstacles that get in the way of our students, sometimes our students are not sufficiently, the word is bilingual meaning not just being able to speak another language from another country, but to know, as we were talking about at our table, when to turn it on and when to turn it off. When to use formal speech, when to use informal speech. And let's face it, all of us as black people do. So when to use that, when not to use that.
Right.
What does the workplace require? How do I interface effectively? How do I do interviews? What am I putting on my Facebook page, my Twitter page, my iGram and everything else? What am I doing in that area? How can we help students to see that in today's marketplace, one of the big obstacles is to be so real, right? Keeping it so real that you lose sight of the fact that an employer checks out every aspect of your public persona.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely does. And it's
Yeah,
absolutely
every
true.
aspect of your persona is out there, and it's a part of your marketing, your personal branding. And I've had to say to students sometimes, I'm in your Twitter feed. Your president is in your Twitter feed.
Right.
Are you sure you want to tweet things like that?
Mm-hmm.
What am I going to say when the employer asks me for a recommendation? Come on.
Right.
It all matters now. So I think one of the things I see is helping students recognize that it all matters. Our students have the skills. They're very bright. They're very sharp. They're very motivated, and I think they will do well. But I think it's this increased consciousness that we have to help them acquire, and watch them do well. And after that, they soar.
Good. Well, we want to continue to help you soar. So my last question to you is, through the UNCF Career Pathways Initiative and different programs you'll implement, where do you see Oakwood University 7 to 10 years from now?
Okay, 10 years down the road, I see it as having a very robust career, classroom to career pathway that will be built. Very, very robust. I see a much more engaged relationship with employers. I see a much more employer-sensitive workplace that we'll be creating. I see also, as Dr. Lomax talked about last night, I see a greater increase of young people who will follow that path, but also that calling, that vocation notion that he talked about so beautifully last night, that many of our students will also enter into jobs that may not be the highest paying jobs, but they have a high significance factor.
Right.
And that makes a lot of difference in the world too. You know, many of our students go into elementary and secondary education. Well, what's more important than training the next generation? And they may not be in a corporate environment where they have the big perks, but they're satisfied and they're making a difference. So I see Oakwood in 10 years as having the frameworks built to be a much more engaged deliverer of what employers are looking for.
Got it. Well, we look forward to Oakwood next year, 5 years, and 10 years down the road.
Thank you, Ashley.
Congratulations again on being a CPI Planning Grantee.
Thank you.
This is Ashley Stevens here with Dr. Leslie N. Pollard, President of Oakwood University.